So I kind of got pulled into this here. I'm a tall, redheaded guy. Todd's a tall, redheaded guy. So they said, hey, perfect fit, right? So Gary Flower had to step out. They pulled me in here and say, hey, can you introduce Todd? I'm like, what do you want me to say? What do you got to say about Todd? Most people already know him. He's famous. You guys know him maybe as a pinball superstar, maybe as a NBA superstar. He's done quite a lot of stuff. He's got some pretty incredible stories. And so with that, I will kick it off to Todd, and he can tell us about some of them.
All right. Well, thanks for coming. I think if it's okay with you guys, we're just going to start off with a little video. A couple years ago, I got a call from ESPN about doing a little pinball segment, and I just thought it was the greatest thing ever, and I was super excited about being a part of it. And unfortunately, it didn't air on the Sports Center it was supposed to, but it's a great thing about the web and things is you can find things. So I don't know. I know I've seen it. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but we're just going to play it. It's about 5.5 minutes. I'm just really happy with the way it turned out, and the producer did a great job. So I just thought we'd play this. Some good background.
During his years in the NBA, Todd MacCulloch battled superstars like Shaquille O'Neal. Now he's found a game where it's easier to score. Ever since the 7-footer's retirement from basketball, the pinball games Todd enjoyed as a child in Winnipeg have a prominent place in his adult life.
Let's put it in there. Thank you. That's called slap save.
Because Todd has become a professional pinball player, competing in pinball tournaments like this one against the world's best, for prize money not really on par with the $35 million he earned in the NBA.
The last tournament I played in, I think I won $25, and so it didn't really cover my flight to Chicago or Connecticut. I think I won $30. My biggest payday was $360, so that was nice.
We usually associate guys who enjoy playing pinball with people who don't excel in sports.
That's definitely a great association to make. People tend to not really notice or know anything about my athletic background. I'm just the huge pinball guy.
For the Sixers and the Nets, he played in 2 NBA Finals. But at just 28, chronic foot problems forced him to retire. After 5 seasons as color man on the Sixers radio broadcasts, Todd and his wife moved west to Bainbridge Island, just a ferry ride from Seattle, where Todd rediscovered the idle pursuits of his youth.
I had some free time, so I found myself playing a lot of pinball and thinking, I must be sick. There must be something wrong with me because this is all I really want to do. And it wasn't until later I realized that I wasn't alone.
First, he bought machines connected to his days playing in Winnipeg. Then a few more. Then more after that.
I have 30 pinball machines and maybe 70 other coin-operated oddities. So I have roughly 1% of the pinball titles that are out there.
Todd's had them restored to their old-school luster, but he doesn't treat them as antiques.
I want to see people come here and have fun and maybe go back to their childhood and say, hey, I remember playing this, or, it just brings back some good memories.
By studying other players, Todd started to master some flipper skills that, he says, can help anyone earn high scores on these machines.
I'm going to try a post pass. Being a big man, I like the post pass. I'm going to try and hit the ball off this post, give it enough energy that I can roll it over to here.
After the games are over, comes a rare refreshment, because Todd also owns his own 7-Eleven Slurpee Machine, a Canadian one.
In Winnipeg, the social drink is a Slurpee. You just always have one.
After all those Slurpees, you still get brain freeze?
I am somewhat immune to them. They do happen. I've definitely fried a lot of those nerves.
But on this day in mid-March, the nerves return as Todd enters the Texas Pinball Festival in Grapevine, Texas, hoping to do what he never did, high school or college or the pros, win the first individual trophy of his sporting career.
I don't see my name, I'll tell you that much for sure. Wow, I got some work to do. Yep, not good. This will be a challenge.
In the early stages of competition, Todd seeks counsel from some top pros.
I hate it when I don't flip. I'd rather go down flipping than not go down at all.
He's gotten better, faster than almost anyone I can think of, which really speaks to him becoming a world-class player.
Usually when you tilt, then you got to give it that shove, like, oh yeah, you're going to tilt me, I'm going to tilt you some more. You like that?
He has a reputation as a really nice guy. You know, and people are probably a little intimidated when they play him because of his size.
Prizes are awarded for different machines, but Todd, the 179th ranked player in the world, is having trouble.
I was working on not a lot of sleep last night. That's one of my excuses. I'm taller than everybody, so my perspective is off. That's another excuse. The machines are too sensitive. They're tilting. I mean, I've got a million excuses as to why I'm not at the top of that list. I think they should put people in line by height first. Cross me off of Galaxy, and I'm Todd MacCulloch, so I'm done there, and I suck.
But on a game called Fireball, Todd rebounds big time.
Yeah, close it up. Why are you opening them back up? No! Hit it! Get out of there, please! Oh! Yes!
After the results are tabulated, Todd can't believe what's happened.
That's second place.
That's like trophy material.
That's trophy no matter what.
So I'm getting a trophy.
Third at worst.
Did you hear that? I'm getting a trophy. I'm getting a pinball trophy.
Todd finishes second to Trent Augenstein, number 6 player in the world. So this 2-time NBA Finals runner-up finally has some hardware to call his own.
I have not won a pinball trophy in my life. That's going right next to all the other trophies I don't have. It's pretty sweet, man.
The only one.
It's my only trophy. Second place in pinball. It's the first loser of pinball.
All right, cool. So I thought that'd be a good introduction. How many had seen that and how many had not seen that? So hands up if you'd seen it already. Okay, so I guess the people that didn't put up their hands would be the people that hadn't seen it. I was going to talk tomorrow night, and then I realized that my wife last year had bought me Father's Day tickets to see U2. And I remembered that I really want to see U2. I just wish it didn't have to be during the show. But we're going to go, and I was just telling a little story at dinner tonight, and they thought maybe I should lead with it. So anyway, got a little bit of history with them. When we played in the building in Philadelphia, whenever an act would come to town and play in our building, the promotions director would say, you know, Todd, a lot of the guys on the team aren't interested in U2 or Fish or whatever. Would you like to go and maybe meet the band? And I would always say yes. So I got to meet some great people, and we would print up Sixers jerseys with their names on them. And U2 came to town, and he didn't call me, and I said, hey, U2's coming to our building. Any chance we can do the old, get Bono a Sixers jersey and I can meet him? And they were like, no, they've denied that request. I'm like, that sucks. So I thought I wanted to go to the concert anyway, so they put me in a box. Great show, and they said, good news. They've added another show tomorrow night, and they've agreed to do the jersey swap with just one person. They were quite specific, and so my wife is like, yeah, but I'm not going to bite them. Like, can't I just stand on the sideline? And they're like, no, one person. So I'm like, honey, that one person is me. So we got a chance to do it. I'm just on cloud 9. I can't believe I'm getting a chance to do this. So we presented them with the jerseys. They were very gracious. I don't get starstruck all that often, but I was just blown away to be next to Bono. He's just an incredible human being, and I didn't know what to say. What do you say? And I was just like, you guys were awesome last night. Well, you rocked it. He's like, oh, you came? That's great. And I'm like, yeah, you guys are so good. So we took the picture, and then he walked off to go on the stage, and he remembered this was before Game 3 of the finals. We had won Game 1 in L.A., lost Game 2. They had played a satellite concert that had been piped into the Staples for Game 1. He had a recollection that game we won, so he figures they're good luck. So he's like, we're good luck for you guys. Whenever we play, you guys win. And I was like, okay, Bono, you keep playing and we'll keep winning, okay? And he's like, all right. I'm like, this is what I come up with? I mean, the guy's saving Africa one person at a time, and you keep playing and we'll keep winning. So I blew my chance with Bono. My wife wasn't happy that I left her behind. So anyway, that's my U2 story. So we're going tomorrow night. Should be great. I'm sure he doesn't remember me, or he'd be like, get that guy away from me. He's crazy. So thank you guys for coming. I'm honored to be able to spend this time with you and tell you a little bit about me. Start right at the beginning. I grew up in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada. It's right there in the longitudinal center of Canada. Some people say it's, not the greatest place to be from, but there's wonderful people. It's so flat there you can watch your dog run away for 3 days. Stole that line. But it's pretty cold there. One day I was taking my chainsaw Yorkshire Terrier on a walk. Basically, my brother and I had to take the dog for a walk every other day. I had odd days, he had evens. As soon as the dog did number 2 business, we get back in the house. I'm like, come on, just go. We could both be warm. Just go. And one time he just got his tongue stuck to a stop sign pole. I was trying to tug on him. He wasn't moving. I looked, and he had licked the stop sign pole and was completely stuck. That's how cold it gets there. So Winnipeg's known for two things. It's known for cold weather and Slurpees. And as you can see from the machine, those are two things I loved. I loved going to local arcades. It's so cold there in the winter. Arcades are a nice, warm place to be. And Winnipeg has been the Slurpee capital of the world for 8 years running. I did my part to help that total. So all I really wanted growing up was to have my own arcade where it was nice and warm, and also have my own Slurpee machine, and then I felt like that's what I was all about. So my pinball addiction was fostered pretty young. The writing was pretty much on the wall. Even when I was a kid, I remember in Prince Albert, Saskatchewan, my parents would drop me off at a friend's if we needed a babysitter, and the husband was a mechanical engineer. So he just had a bucket of ball bearings, and I would just play with the ball bearings and just be happy. And they're like, some kids you've put in front of the TV, me, you could just put me in front of a bucket of ball bearings and I'd be happy. And I was good just by the silver ball, just literally the silver ball. So can we go to the frame? So that was me. I was happy with just a pinball. So they thought I was a little bit odd, but you can imagine how excited I was later to actually have a whole pinball machine built around my my beloved silver ball. So when I was old enough to play pinball, not when I was tall enough, because I guess 2 years old I probably would have been tall enough to play pinball, but when I was old enough, that's all I really wanted to do. So every chance I got, I was playing pinball. My local bowling alley had a Pinbot, and next frame is a shot of my Jackpot. When I went to go buy a Pinbot, they told me, well, there's a newer game called Jackpot, and I thought, same play field, so I'll get that one. And I was just in a group, it was a church group with 3 kids, and we used to go to the bowling alley, and as soon as my turn was done, I would just bowl the ball down the lane a couple of times. As soon as I was done, I'd run to go play Pinbot, and inevitably it would come around to my turn. Where is he? He's playing pinball. He's always playing pinball. Why does he even bowl with us? This is all he wants to do. I used to go to the roller skating rink, but I didn't get picked a lot for couples skate, so I'd be trying to scrounge up some money to play some Pinbot. But maybe being tall as Andre the Giant didn't make me all that popular with the ladies. So can you go to the next slide? So that's the Slurpee machine you saw in the video, and it's a Canadian style one. If none of you have had a Canadian style Slurpee, it's worth driving up to Vancouver for. It's the real deal. And I used to be a Slurpee addict, drank a bunch. I was actually late for a wedding. It turns out it wasn't my own, otherwise my wife probably wouldn't have let me have the Slurpee machine as a memory of that. But I was late to my buddy's wedding, showed up late, his bride. They're now split up, and I think it might be because I showed up late and walked in, the music started, the camcorder light goes on, it's me standing there just like, this is not my turn. So I'm trying to look invisible at my height. It was kind of tough to do. A friend of mine at my wedding brought me down a package, and they handed me this present, and I'm like, okay, thank you, let's put it over with the other presents. And she's like, no, you're gonna want this now. I got married here in Seattle. She came out from Vancouver. I'm like, what could I want now? I'm greeting all the guests at my wedding. She opened it up. It was a 2-liter, just in like a heart transplant chest, perfectly frozen. I'm like, this is so good. Hi, thanks for coming to my wedding. Try this. This is awesome. So I thought that was my favorite wedding gift that I got. When we built our game room next to our house, I definitely wanted the right Slurpee machine, so we got it wired and piped for water. And so when the contractors were doing it, they wrote on the drywall, refrigerator's going to go here, kegerator's going to go here. And my brother-in-law's father was looking, and here it said Slurpee machine. He's like, Jack, it says Slurpee machine here. Is that contractor code for something electrical? He's like, no, that's where Todd's Slurpee machine will be placed. It's actually going to go right there. So when I have problems with it, I have to call the tech company, and they're like, so what company are you with? I'm like, I'm just the guy with the Slurpee machine. I'm not with Circle K or 7-Eleven. I'm just on my own. So when we were kids, sometimes we'd ride our bikes for miles to go get a Slurpee. And back in the day, I don't know about here, but most of our 7-Elevens in Winnipeg had a pinball machine, so it was a good chance to get a drink and play. And my local one had a Whirlwind. Can you go to the next frame? So I loved Whirlwind. That fan would just blow my prepubescent summer mustache all over the place. Summer mustache, some are here, some are there, some are there. But I loved my local arcade. It was called Pirate's Den. You needed to be 16 years of age, or you needed a note signed by your parents, and for some reason my parents, wasn't enough to be 6'6" tall and have a baby face. My parents made the mistake of signing my permission slip so I could go play. For some reason, this arcade owner, if you had good grades and you got A's, he would give you he'd give you tokens, so that's all the incentive I needed to get good grades. Can you go next slide? Stay in schools, kids. You get free tokens. That's my NBA read to achieve. One more slide, please. So local arcade had Jurassic Park. They had about a half dozen pins, and for some reason this was one of my favorites, and maybe it was because I could win replays. And if I had a bad quarter and didn't do well in school, I needed something that had good value, so that's the one I picked. It's been a long time, but I'm still a little annoyed at a friend of mine back in the day. We used to play Jurassic Park together all the time, but at the conclusion of the game, Saw my beautiful last 2 digits of my score match up perfectly with the match numbers on the game. I couldn't wait to hear that knock. But my friend hit the start button and basically killed my credit before it had a chance to register. I was right pissed. Forget the fact that we had other credits. Forget the fact that I know he didn't do it on purpose. You know, now I have the game in my basement. I can play it whenever I want, free of charge, but none of those things matter. What's important, I was deprived of that knock. That's a special sound. It's very visceral. We all know what it feels like. It sounds so powerful, you can feel it. It can change the way you feel about yourself, maybe for a while. It's that immediate, very positive feedback that all of us crave. It's as if the game is saying, you're good enough, you're strong enough. Gosh darn it, pinball people like you. So he carelessly, prematurely started the next game. He didn't allow for my well-earned, hard-fought, totally lucky 1 in 10 chance for my match to happen. He didn't just take a mere 50 cents from me. He took away something I can never get back. The infinite possibility of greatness that next game could have become. He was never really my BFF. He was more like an FCLC, friend because he lived close. One of those convenient friends. I could have drawn a crowd, I could have had a great game. There are plenty of people in the attached mall that I, maybe could have, if I ran out and said, hey, possible kill screen coming on. Possible great Jurassic Park game. Thought maybe I'd get something. And so I wanted to teach him the new meaning of kill screen when he did that. Can you go to the next slide? Thanks. If it wasn't for him, maybe I could have turned pro in pinball. Maybe made money playing a game I loved in front of 20,000 screaming fans, but I'm getting carried away. I guess he didn't get in the way of that last part. But it's all over now, I'm over it. I've found success and happiness in other ventures. But as for that friend who committed that terrible crime so long ago, we haven't spoken the last 15 years, and to this day, he reminds me of the only person I've been in a fist fight with. I don't know if it's a coincidence. That's up to you to decide. But right now, matches aren't that important to me when everything's on free play at home. Can you go to the next one, please? So this is my friend Ron Chan. He's really involved with the PPE. And as you can see, I'm a little taller than Ron. I'm taller than most people. It's kind of weird for me when I stand next to a former NBA player or NBA player that's taller than me. It kind of freaks me out a little bit. So I can understand how you guys feel standing next to me. So I remember being I was about this height my senior year of high school, and it was about then I was swimming at the local pool, and a kid comes up to me and says, hey man, how tall are you? You're pretty tall. I was out of the water at this time. I could have been standing in the deep end, but he's like, how tall are you? I said, I'm 7 feet. He's like, that's nothing. I know a guy who's 7'4". And I'm thinking, Winnipeg's not that big. Who is 7'4"? And he's like, Todd MacCulloch. And I said, that's me. And he's like, nope, you just said you're 7 feet. This guy is huge. He's like 7'4". And I'm like, no, dude, that's me. And he's like, prove it. I'm like, well, I don't have any ID. We're at the pool. And he's like, all right, well, what number are you? And I'm like, does he mean freshman year? Does he mean this year? I'm like, I'm 50. He's like, nope, that's not it. I'm like, yeah, that's my number. I wear 50. He's like, no, I've been to the guy's house, man. It says 62 right on the backboard. I'm like, that's my address. My dad painted that on there. He's like, oh yeah, who's your driver's ed instructor? I said, Mrs. McIsaac. Yeah, that's my mom. Yeah, I guess that's you. I guess you are who you say you are. He's like, thank you for verifying that I am who I say I am. This one kid, we were doing a talk at a school, and he came up to me, and I just said, hey, what's up, my man? He looked at me all confused. He wasn't very old. He just looked at me confused and walked away. I'm like, that was weird. And his sister came up and said, how did you know my brother's name? I said, I didn't. I just said, what's up, my man? She's like, oh, his name is Mimon. Just kind of got lucky on that one. Some people come up to me and say, you must play basketball. I'm like, yeah, you must play mini golf. I was in line at a cafeteria, and this guy turned around expecting to see my face and saw my chest. And he's like, whoa, you should wear a cowbell so you don't sneak up on people. Thought that was nice. A guy named Bill Wennington used to play for the Bulls, a friend of mine, and people say, Bill, I thought I was tall. He's like, yeah, I thought I was ugly. But I don't say that. I'd never say that. Being Canadian, it's almost like military service. You got to play hockey. So I played hockey when I was a kid and played on a competitive team. Would have liked to have made it to the NHL big leagues. Maybe could have been the Canadian Bo Jackson, hockey, basketball, maybe a little pro pinball. But there's not too many 7-foot people in the NHL. 7'4" with skates, 7'8" with the afro. Fletch, anyone? You don't see a lot of hockey players of that height, but you don't see a lot of 7-foot pinball players around here either. But I've earned a little bit of money playing pinball, so I am a pro. I'm a two-sport pro after all. So I call myself pro. But I don't make anywhere near what it costs me to go to tournaments. This is a nice one. I just have to pay for the ferry ride, so this is a cheap one for me. But you factor in all the machines I have at home, and my pinball investment is completely negative. But it's been great. My biggest payday was in Chicago Expo, where I won $360, which was pretty nice. That's less than $1 a day for a year, even less than a leap year. Recently won 52 Canadian at the Vancouver Regional League event. That was kind of cool. Then they informed me that you got to get it engraved out of that money. So if you find a cheap engraver, you get to save a little more, but don't go too cheap because we're not going to like it if your font's not right. But that's a small price to pay for immortality. Recent, well, not so recent, Stern launch party for Ironman here in Seattle, and did pretty well. I think I took 4th place, won $17, but downtown parking was $20, so that wasn't a bad night. That was pretty good. Average cost of airfare to attend an out-of-town pinball tournament, $300. Average hotel stay, $250. Average cost of having to tip the airport park and fly attendant after you leave your 2nd place electromechanical trophy in the bathroom at the park and fly, $20. Cost of displaying that trophy in the mantle after thoroughly disinfecting it, priceless. Can you hit the next slide, please? Oh, the next slide after that, please. There it is. All right. College, that was a good time for me. I had accepted a scholarship to play basketball here locally at the University of Washington. Things were going pretty well for me, personally, emotionally. I'd met my best friend Jana, who'd now become my wife, and made some lifelong friends and teammates. Lee Nukwi is one of my buddies there, and he was one of my freshman floor mates, and he and 2 of my other buddies were hardcore gamers, console gamers. They'd play in shifts. 2 guys would play, 1 guy would sleep, they forgot about class, then 1 guy would sleep, and the other 2 would play until they finished a game. So these are the kind of guys that I wanted to room with. So as soon as we got out of the dorms, we got an apartment together, and we called ourselves UN. We were United Nations, but I'm not quite there. I'll get to that part. So basketball, that was another story. I was playing too many games and was kind of out of shape. Not the kind of out of shape I am now, but out of shape for college basketball for sure. So I show up my first year, big 7-footer, 300 pounds. Wish I was back there again on campus, and they're like, "Wow, that's a big Canadian, man. We got him." So I show up in the weight room. I wear sandals like, Birkenstocks, because I think that's what you do. And they're like, "You might want to wear some running shoes or something." I'm like, "Oh, okay, that's what we do." So they're like, "All right, let's throw some weights on there, see what you can do. You're a big fella." So they slap some 45s on there. That's pretty standard, do 135 bench press. Can't get it off my chest. So they're like, "All right, let's drop to some 35s. That was stuck on my chest, dude. We go down to 10s, killing the 10s. Boom, 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 busting out reps. But then I tire. So we take off the weights. Now I've just got the bar. That bar is like 45 pounds. Boom, I'm killing the bar. And all my teammates are looking at me like, "That's the guy we just brought in doing the bar? Awesome. That's great." So I'm just dead. We go to the military press. I got nothing left of the arm. So my coach is like lifting it. There's like a helper bar, and he's just doing, I'm like, "Ow, ow, ow." So we run through the workout. My arms are killing me. They're like, "All right, good. Now it's time to run." Run? I'm done, So now we got to run 5 miles, and I don't even like driving 5 miles, So we start running as a group, and the group's like here, and I fall back behind. 2 of my teammates start walking with me, going, "Team unity, we're with you." I'm like, "No, you guys go ahead. You did your work. I didn't. You won't get in trouble," because the coaches can't be there. So they just like, fine. So they take off, and the whole team gets to the 2.5 mile mark, and then they turn around. They pass me at about the 1 mile mark. I'm like, if we're going this way, there's no sense me going all the way there if we're just going this way. So I turn around, the peloton, the group leaves me, and I'm running. I'm like, I know they're just going to go run stairs after this, so if I can just, I couldn't have gone any faster if I wanted to. I'm like, maybe they'll be done with the stairs by the time I get back there. I'm walking like Frankenstein, dragging my leg. My nose starts bleeding from exhaustion. I grab a leaf off the Burke-Gilman Trail. I shove it up my nose. I got a bloody leaf in my nose. Come around the corner. The guys are like, "That's our new center. Awesome. Pac-10 basketball, baby." So we go from there. Now we got to go. They didn't want to start stairs without me. They wanted to wait for me. So now we got to do stairs, and spit's coming out of my mouth, and we're done with that. All right, let's go play some pickup basketball. So we go play SPU. We should have been better than them. And in 2, when I go to put my shoes on, and normally you need your arms to slow down your fall. So I go to sit down, my arms just give out like jello. Boom! Smash my head on the court. I can barely tie up my shoes. Now I can't stand up, so I'm just rolling around like a beach whale, like trying to get my arms to work. Takes everything that I have just to stand up. Now we got to play basketball. So my rebounds, my outlets are like, "Here, point guard, here, you take it." Make 1 shot, and these guys are like, "Great, good thing we got this Canadian. Canadians suck at basketball." Fortunately, things got a little better for me, but one of the beat writers, when he watched me play early, he's like, "Yeah, he runs up and down the court like an unplugged refrigerator, real graceful." So I wanted to give him a new meaning of the word beat writer when I read that. So found solace in local arcades in college. That made me happy, and I had a friend, good friend of Lee and mine named Jason, couldn't be with us today. He's fine. He just lives in California, couldn't be here. So we're going to play Day's Batman. And he puts his money in, and it doesn't do anything. So he's shaking the machine. He's just a small guy. He's like 6'7", 240, just a small guy. Shaking the machine, and he's, you got to be joking. And the game says, do I look like I'm joking? And he's just like, dude, this machine's possessed. And I forgot to tell him that, that was just a standard line that he just wasn't familiar with. Let's see. So, yeah, we moved into an apartment. We had myself, Canadian. Buddy Lee has some Filipino in him. We had an American. We had a German. So we called ourselves United Nations. And gaming was the common language that brought us all together. It was something that we always enjoyed. If we weren't playing basketball, we were playing games. So, I didn't face a huge language barrier coming from Canada. I just had to, drop my A's and change my boot to about, the way you guys say that. I had to denounce Bryan Adams and Celine Dion, but I was okay with that. That part was actually my idea. My parents live on Vancouver Island. And it's about a 2-hour ferry ride from the mainland, but have no fear. The small little game room on the ferry had a Medieval Madness, so I'm thinking, sweet, I'll just play pinball the whole time. Scroll through the menu, see that it's only a $5 million point replay. I'm thinking, I'm going to kill this thing. I'm going to put in 50 cents and play for 2 hours. $5 million, I can get that in my sleep. It's a couple of castles, you're done. But I forgot that this is a moving boat, and every time he took a turn into a bay or something, outlane this side, outlane that side. 2 hours I had to plug in money every time. Not once did I get $5 million. It's a damn ferry moving all over the place. I think the operator and the captain were in money, 50 cents, boom, boom. So I've started a petition for no pinball on moving surfaces. If you guys will sign that on the way out, I'd appreciate that. Can you go to the next slide? So no, I skipped that one. Let's go to the next one. So that's, it's the tilty way that it was for playing Medieval Madness. Let's see. So I looked next to me when I was running out of money, and there was a young kid that thought he was playing a video game next to me, and it was just the attract mode, and he just thought he was playing. And basically, every time the attract mode would die in the same place, and the kid's like, man, I always die there. And I'm like, silly child, Which in reality is not that different from normal video games when you're playing them, right? I mean, they're kind of that way. I shouldn't give the video gamers a hard time. I mean, pinball's really not that different. I could point to between the flipper and go, I always die there, It's part of the game. I ended up graduating from the University of Washington with a degree in speech and hearing sciences. And after that, I thought about going and get my master's or maybe applying for an MBA program or something. But on my application, I guess my M looked more like an N, and I get a call from the Philadelphia 76ers saying they need a big guy. So that's how that happened. The team was coached by a future Hall of Famer named Larry Brown, and he had some Hall of Fame lines for me. Like, Todd, you look like you're running in mud. You just run slow. Thanks, Coach. It's like, Todd, I've talked to the equipment manager. You are no longer allowed to wear black shoes. It just appears that you're running much slower in black shoes. So white shoes for you only. Todd, you only got one speed, and it's not quick. You got one speed, and it's slow, buddy. And then at one point, he's like, Todd, you run like that bear in that old shooting game. And only now can we have the next slide? Only now can I appreciate what he was saying. I can only imagine he was referring to Seaberg's rail-like game, Shoot the Bear. I now have one of those games, and just like Coach said, the bear moves predictably and slowly, just like I did. So when I first got to Philadelphia, I wasn't bored, but we had some time in our hand. You get to the pros, you're in college, you got classes, you're supposed to have classes. I went to a class, it was forestry. I got tired because I was up playing games all night, so I just put my head on the desk, just fell asleep. And one of my other teammates, he used to skip a lot, so the coach came to check on us, and I didn't know he was there, but I find out later that he had come to check on us, and I was waiting like, why has the coach not said anything to me about me sleeping in class? So I brought up like, did you come to class today? Yep. Did you notice? And he's like, we don't care if you're asleep, we just care that you're there. We just have an attendance policy. So that was okay. So I get to Philadelphia, got some time on my hands. When your 3 or 4 hours of practice are done, and what do? And my fiance hadn't come out yet, so I go to a GameStop to get some games, and my Nintendo had broken, my PlayStation had broken, so I'm in there just looking at games for my broken systems, and the manager, it's a weekday at noon when everyone else is not at GameStop, and he's playing basketball, and he's like, man, the Sixers suck, and I go, hey, you watch your mouth. I'd just been drafted by him that year. Preseason, he's like looking at me like, why is that tall goof talking to me? I wasn't talking to him. So he keeps playing. He's like, man, Iverson's killing me. I got to sub him out. And I'm like, hey, put me in for him. He's looking at me like, why is that guy still talking to me? And I walk around. He's like, you're pretty tall. You play at one of the local colleges, Drexel, St. Joe's. I'm like, actually, no, I play with the Sixers. He's like, no, you don't. No, you don't. I said, yeah, I'm Todd MacCulloch. He's like, you're Big Mac? Dude, check this out. You're in this game. I'll sub you in. So I want to see what I look like in cyberspace. I'm all buffed up, got a nice jawline. It's great. I get in. Next thing I know, I'm subbed out. I'm like, what are you doing? Why'd you sub me? He's like, I didn't. Coach overruled it. You turn it over. I'm like, cyberspace, getting subbed out in cyberspace. That's not cool. Just got overridden. I played Dreamcast with a buddy of mine, and we played Sixers versus Sixers, like home Sixers, white jersey, and I'm like, this will be fun. We'll just shoot threes with me. I never get to do it in practice. I never get to do it in games. We'll just shoot threes. And at the third quarter, it stopped being fun. He finally hit one. I was like 1 for 47. I'm like, this is BS. I know I can shoot threes better than this. And that was the end of the game. It was like 3-0 at the end of that game. One of my first games as a New Jersey Net, I wanted to instill confidence in my teammates and just wanted to prove to them that I was a good player. So I was in position to make 2 free throws, seal the game for the Nets versus the Celtics in Boston. And high above me, a Boston fan by the name of Bowen Cairns. He's now a multiple pinball world champion. Now he's a close personal friend. He's heckling me, yelling at me while I stood at the line. Mind you, he was not alone in this verbal attack. I'm at my place of work. What makes him think it's okay to do that? I don't know him yet. I don't like him yet. We're not friends yet. Do I go to his place of work? He writes math textbooks at home in a quiet room. Do I go to his house and yell at him, go, you're never going to get that book done on time? There's no way it'll be as good as your last one. You can't even add Bowen. I don't do that. But he comes to my place of work. All I'm trying to do is provide for my family. He's yelling at me. But I made the shots, and the good guys won the game. He later used my first name and my actual dismal free throw percentage for that season in one of his textbooks as a question. So I end up getting my 15 minutes of fame from Bowen, which is appreciated. So thank you, Bowen, for making me tougher mentally, both with your taunts and your wonderfully laid out math textbooks with me in them. Soon after I met Bowen, I was doing radio for the Sixers as a color analyst. And he picked me up at my hotel in Boston and said, you like pinball? I got a friend up in Maine. He's got 60 games set up. So I'm like, great. Took a few hours. We get up to Maine, play all night, get home at 4 or 5 in the morning, and needless to say, I was pretty doo-doo on the radio. Can you go to the next slide? Yep, that's me. So my radio partner was none too impressed with my effort for that games, but it was just the beginning of some things I made him endure through. One of my early games, I thought that I was going to get back on the court and that this was just going to be something I could do for fun until I healed and got back on the court, so I wasn't taking it as seriously as I probably should have. My goal was to make my friends at home laugh and send me texts, hey, I love that. And so I'd sometimes put my radio partner in some positions he'd rather not have been in. Like we were playing the Houston Rockets when they had Yao Ming. Yao Ming ran right in front of us. And he just has these huge legs. I mean, he's just got a huge body. And my radio partner goes, wow, look at his legs. And I said, what are you hitting on the guy? He's like, no, I'm not hitting on the guy. Look at his legs. Look how big they are. And for some reason, the leg lamp in Christmas Story pops into my head. So I go, Tom, you've seen A Christmas Story, right? How many people here have seen Christmas Story? It's on TBS. Everyone. I think everyone put up their hand. He goes, no. I am dumbfounded. I am on the radio going, no? And he's like, no, why? Go on. And I'm like, oh, well, in the movie, Tom, there's this leg lamp that's fashioned after a woman's leg, and if somehow it was molded after Yao Ming's leg, that would have been a bigger leg lamp, Tom. And he's like, can we get back to the game? I'm like, I'm going to get fired. What am I talking about? And then a friend texts me, he's like, dude, the leg lamp thing was hilarious, man. I almost drove off the road. And I'm like, okay, well, it just seemed really awkward at the time. So one of the quarters, Sixers weren't doing too hot. And my radio partner's like, oh, it was a tough quarter for the Sixers, Todd. All they could muster was 6 points. I'm like, that's all they could muster, and now they're going to have to catch up. He's like, oh, great. Condiment humor. Perfect. Tom's like, yeah, Todd, the guy got mauled on that play. What'd you think? I'm like, yeah, it wasn't that bad. Maybe a mini maul. Not that big a deal. So we were having some shot clock problems, and when there's a problem, we've got to talk through it, and you just never know how long that's going to last. We're making conversations. He's like, yeah, for you fans at home, we having some intermittent shot clock problems. I'm like, yeah, it's intermittent, Tom. We've got a high of 24, a low of 0. Groan. Anyone here know who Clay Harrell is? Anyone know Clay Harrell? Shaggy from this old pinball series. He's done some pinball videos in the past, and we've had some really good times together in the past, and here's a few of the examples of our not so great times. But he was nice enough to spend some time with me when we were playing the Detroit Pistons in the playoffs, and so he was nice enough to host me at his house and got to play all his great games. Unfortunately, I think I played in his game room a little bit too much, so go there during the day, and we had a playoff game that night. And so I know if we're driving together, I got to be there a few hours before the game. He and his wife and son probably don't want to be there a few hours before the game. I'm like, Clay, if you get me there an hour before, that'll be fine. I'll be a little late, but that way you don't have to sit in the arena for a few hours because they won't let you in. So he's like, fine, we'll leave it this and this time. We end up stopping at, Boston Market. He's hungry. Then we get stuck in arena traffic. So, that was pretty nice. So I get through the staff entrance about 6 minutes before tip-off of a playoff game, and my radio partner's busy doing our pregame show without anybody to have a conversation with. So, Clay, I want to thank you for getting me there late and enjoying your turkey carver and 3 sides. I know that was really important to you, and I almost lost my job, so my general manager was very impressed. What are you doing? Oh, playing pinball and eating turkey carvers. But I got my revenge on him. I was staying at his place, and I had to take care of some business on the commode. You can go to the next one. So instead of his videos being called This Old Pinball, they should be called This Old Toilet Seat, because his little circle, that's mine actually, that's a good one. His wasn't up to code. Just one little tiny shift, and that puppy split like the fault line in Earthshaker. I guess I should have turned off my shaker motor before I sat down on it. This side of the toilet seat went up, this side went down, left a nice little pinch mark. I should have sued him, but my mom always told me to turn the other cheek. Clay always tells his game room guests, you know what, if you break something like a game, if it gets stuck on, I won't be mad, just tell me. I'm the guy in like a repair vest. I just want to know. I just want to reset it. And, I asked him if breaking a toilet seat was the same. If you just want to let me know, you want me to replace it. So soon after that, Clay decides he's going to have a party and invite over everybody. And just right in front of him, he has a little meeting beforehand. It's like an EM collectors club. And he brings out the broken toilet seat that I had broken, and he wrote on it, Todd MacCulloch's ass broke this seat. Has me sign it and autograph it, which is pretty classy. He mounted it like a moose head or something, so stay classy, Clay. He once got a phone call from Coach Larry Brown in Detroit to fix a pinball machine, although he didn't know who Coach Brown was. And so he's telling me about this later. He wouldn't have recognized Coach Brown if he was there. His wife was there, led him into the game room, and was working on the games. And while he's down there, he's like, yeah, I noticed. I don't know who this guy is. I noticed he's got jerseys, signed jerseys, and trophies, and pictures with all these famous guys. Got pictures with Jordan. He's got pictures of Pippen, pictures of Ewing, Barkley. I'm like, wait, what did you just say? Back up. Did you just say Ewing? Patrick Ewing. You saw his jersey. He's like, yeah, Patrick Ewing. I'm like, Patrick Ewing, our smart guy. That's like me getting up here and paying tribute to all the greats. Pat Lawler, Breon Edai, Steve Reichy, Jorge Gomez. It's not right, can't be tolerated. So Clay likes to give me a hard time whenever he can. A lot of times I deserve it, and for that reason I don't try to fix my games anymore. I was working on one of my gun games, and I'm thinking I'll just fix it because I think I'm an intelligent guy. I think I can handle this. So I removed the paper that I didn't think should be there, and my very next shot, things shorted out, just didn't work right. And Clay said, what did you do? I'm like, all I did was take off the fly paper. He said, there's your problem right there. That's there to prevent a short, and that's called fish paper, not fly paper. So he said, next time you're feeling MacGyver, just leave it to the pros. Stop messing up the games and making it harder for me to fix. So like Clay, I've met some other great people in the hobby. One guy, Rick Prince. Rick, are you here tonight? There he is. So that's my buddy Rick Prince. And so when I'm getting the bug for pinball, you guys, if you got to have the bug, you wouldn't be here on a Friday night at 8:30 listening to me talk about it. But I got a few games, and they were games that I grew up playing that I knew I would like, because summer after summer, year after year, I never got tired of these games. For me, they were Whitewater. I was at this place. I played basketball on the national team, never got tired of it. Summer after summer, I'm going to buy that game when I have some money because I love it and I'll never get tired of it. I also loved Pinbot growing up, so I bought a Jackpot. Never got tired of it. I also played Medieval Madness in college, loved it, and just wanted those games. So I bought those 3 games, and I'm thinking, you know what, maybe it's not just these 3 games. Maybe there's other good games out there. So I'm trying to ask my friends what else is good, and as they're telling me, I'm trying to verify, do I like them? Turns out there's a lot of great games out there. So I call this guitar shop. I hear they have a pinball machine. Hey, I heard you got a pinball machine. Yeah, we got a fun house or something. Okay, I'll be right in. Show up, it's off, there's sheet music on it, it's dusty. I'm like, is it broken? He's like, no, it works, but whatever, I don't play it. I'm like, can I play it? So he plugs it in, takes off the sheet music. I'm playing it, but I want to talk pinball with him, and he's working and doing guitar things, and I realized that I'm just as interested, maybe more interested, in talking pinball with him than actually playing this funhouse. And he's like, look, it's not my deal. My friend Rick, it's his game. He's out of space. He asked me if I could put it in here. My friend's crazy. He's got like 15 of these at home. I'm like, really? Rick has 15 pinball machines. Really? What games does he have? I don't know. You want me to call him? Yeah, call Rick and find out what games he has. Hey, Rick, some tall dude in here wants to know what pinball games you have. What do you have? He goes, Circus Voltaire. I have that one. Rick, he's got that one. Okay, what else you got? Tales of the Arabian Nights. I have that one. Rick, he's got that too. Medieval Madness. We go down the line. At that time, I had about 15 games. Rick had about 15. 13 of them were the same. And I'm like, this guy is awesome. Rick's like, do you guys want to come play some pinball? And the guys go, well, I got to work. I'm at my place of work. You'd know this because I called you from here. But hey, tall guy, do you want to go to Rick's? I'm like, yeah, I'd love to go to Rick's. How do you get there? So he tells me, Rick's standing on his lawn going, hi, I'm the Rick guy from the phone with the pinballs. And I was just like love at first sight. You know, we go down to his game room, we start playing. I think I'm the greatest pinball player in Pennsylvania, and he's kicking my rear, teaching me things about games that I have at home that I don't know. I'm like, this guy is awesome. Let's go to my house tomorrow night. We'll have a play date at my place, and we've just been really good friends ever since. So, and his wife's a killer cook, and so whenever my wife would be out of town or home for Thanksgiving, I'd be like, Rick, you want to play some pinball about 5:30 or 6? I'll just show up. Maybe Vicky will cook a little for me. He's like, sure, no problem. We just got to stop at Costco. I got to pick up some blueberries. So we go to Costco. Rick gets the blueberries, goes to the bathroom, comes back. I'm holding a PlayStation 3. He's like, what are you doing? We came here for me to get blueberries. I'm like, I saw it. It looks fun. I think I'm going to take this home. My wife's out of town. PlayStation 3 came home. So he's like, blueberries. I went on a road trip with Rick. I went to pick up a gun game. It ended up to be a total dog, but it's more about the chase. And so I think I bought it on eBay and asked Rick if he'd come with me. It's up in Jersey. It's a few hours away. He's like, sure, I'm game. I just don't want to drive the truck. I'm like, you don't have to drive the truck, Rick. I'll drive the truck. So we go and we rent the truck. I try and drive the truck, but literally this is where like the dash is. And I'm like, Rick, I can't drive the truck. He's like, that's all I asked. I don't want to drive the truck, but I'll drive the truck. So I'm like, all right, I'll go in the passenger seat. So same thing, the dash is still here on my knees. I'm like, Rick, I don't even think I can go with you. Well, I'm not going alone. So I'm like, all right, Rick, you drive, and I'll just like sit this way and put my feet in the middle, and I'll just stare at you. So for 3 hours in New Jersey, Rick's like, dude, you're totally freaking me out. I'm like, dude, I got nowhere else to look. My neck's getting sore. So we're just gonna talk like this. He's like, I can't drive like this. Can you go to the next shot? So no, that's a bad one. Keep going. I don't know why that's in there. So the bunny is Rick, and that's me basically just staring at him the whole time, like, yeah, Rick, let's go for 4 hours. I'll just stare at your side of your face. So that's a good friend right there. Had a fun house in my basement when my friend was house sitting. He used to go, we liked the game next to it. He liked playing Monster Bash, but my eyelids were broken, and Rudy was just like this, just staring at him. He's like, dude, I can't go down your basement. Rudy's just staring at me. It's freaking me out. So I had to get that fixed. One time when we went to play the Memphis Grizzlies, I was excited to go see if maybe, I thought the Graceland might have an Elvis pinball machine. I'm like, I'll go, hoping that in the gift shop, they gotta have one. That just makes sense. So I went for that purpose, and I decided to do the tour while I was there. You know, I thought maybe I could meet this Elvis character. Growing up in Canada, you know, Elvis wasn't as big. I thought maybe he'd be a pretty cool guy. Maybe I could meet him. I heard he had a couple pinball machines at his house. I thought I'd go check him out. But he must not have been home when I was there at Graceland. I didn't see him, but he was probably a cool guy. All these people walking around his house. He didn't seem to have a problem with it. So I wanted to ask him if it was okay to play his pinball machines. He wasn't there. I figure I'll just hop over these ropes and put some money in it. They were roped off, but I thought he was just trying to showcase them, you know, let people know they were there. But, you know, it seemed like they were all about the money. I didn't think they'd have a problem with me shoving some more money into the games, but they seemed to be a little bit bothered, and they called it Graceland, but they didn't seem to show me a lot of grace after that. So I went back to the gift shop, no Elvis pinball machine by Stern, so I decided it was time to leave. I'd had enough of Graceland. I was cruising RGP one time, and somebody was writing a thread about Whitewater. I'm like, I love Whitewater. And he was talking about getting so close to finishing the game. And I was like, I've been there, I've been close, Vacation Jackpot, I haven't gotten it yet. And he said he got like the death rattle, and he was one shot away. So we strike up a conversation. I said, look, I know, we're actually work for the Sixers. I'm coming to your city next week. If you want, I can get your family tickets to see the game. And he's like, great, that's awesome. If you're free the night before, why don't you come over? We'll play Whitewater. We'll have a few beers. It'll be great. I'm like, awesome. I'll be in town. Love doing that stuff. So he gets back to me. He's like, talk to my wife. She's not that cool about a stranger I met on the internet coming to our house with our kids to play pinball. I try and tell her, totally normal people on RGP. It's fine. And I'm like, look, I don't want to cause any marital stress. I'm married. I understand if tickets are unconditional. Go to the game. If it's not cool for me to come over and it causes problems, that's fine. He said, look, just let me work on her a little bit. And I said, fine. He gets back to me, and I said, you know what? Google me or see that I'm not a crackhead, that I've done some charitable work. Maybe you can read some articles or something. And he's like, gets back to me. He's like, yeah, I told her you were a professional athlete, and she really doesn't want you to come now. That's not helping your case. So I'm going to leave that out. So anyway, he works it out, show up, had a great time, and she's nice enough to make us a meal, and then she took the kids up and locked themselves in the upstairs bedroom. We went down, played pinball, had a great night. I hadn't had a beer, a drink, or anything, and I leave there in a rented Durango, make the left. We're outside of DC. I'm just driving down the highway, no problem, and just, guy starts, telling me that my brights are on, flick, 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 past the truck, and I'm like, what's that guy? What's wrong with that guy? You've been tipping back on Grandpa's cough syrup? Why is he flicking me? My light brights aren't on. I'm, maybe he's telling me there's a speed trap up ahead, and it's at night now, it's midnight or so, and now I see 2 sets of headlights coming at me. And the car in my lane starting to swerve. I'm like, I am going the wrong way. I look to my right, and instead of like a ditch, it was just kind of like a grassy area. Get on the right side of the freeway. So I had passed a semi in this lane. He was in the slow lane. So he's flick, flick, dude, you're hammered, you're in the wrong lane, you're gonna kill somebody. I'm like, what is that guy's problem, man? So I end up, everything's fine, but I got back on the right side of the road going, woo, that could have been really bad. He's thinking I'm from Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Yeah, you're going the wrong way. How does he know where we're going? But everything was fine. Returned the rental car, no problems. Anyway, so that was a great night out. Let's see. So going on to the NBA, I had some good teammates, some funny teammates. In Philadelphia, played with a guy named Allen Iverson, who's one of my favorite teammates. He comes out of the elevator in Chicago, and my nickname was Dip. I had this dip move, and they just called me. That just stuck. And he's like, "Hey, Dip, man, what's that football movie that just came out?" And I'm thinking, "Remember the Titans has just come out." And I said, "Remember the Titans?" He's like, "Yeah. Who's that fat guy in that movie? Who's that fat actor?" I go, I don't know the guy's name, but I know the actor you're referring to. He's like, that guy reminds me of you. You remind me of him. I'm like, Alan, thank you. I'm glad that I remind you of the fat guy. It's like, no, not because he was fat, because he was cool with the whole team. He was cool with the brothers. He was cool with everybody. And that's why I'll always love you. And I'm like, that's the nicest thing anyone's ever said to me, Alan. I'm really glad I remind you of the fat guy from Remember the Titans. That's awesome. So we trade for Tony Kukoc. I'm like, this is awesome. He's played with Jordan. He's won 3 rings. We're in good shape. And you sit on the plane, you got a seatmate, it's nice. They take out every second row of seats on the plane, so it's just like row, empty row. So you can, like literally, I could do this, which is really nice on the plane. They're all first class seats. So I sit next to Tony Kukoc because I'm like, this guy is a legend. So I sit next to Tony, and he didn't know what he was getting into. I'm like, Tony, we got like 4-hour flight. Hey, what was it like to play with Jordan? He's like, hey, this is going to be long here, okay? 82 games, you can ask me 1 question per flight. And I'm like, okay, today's flight, what was it like to play with Jordan? It was great. Tony, 1 question. Okay, we're done. And he would open up the window shade and just look out the window for 4 hours. And I'm like, all right, so next road trip, we're going to Detroit. Hey, Tony, what was it like growing up in Croatia? It was difficult. Yeah, Tony, that's it for this flight. We are done. And he would just look out the window. So I get to know Tony a little bit at a time, for 82 games over the year. One day, he's, Tony, did you get your MRI results back? Because coach had been riding him pretty hard. He didn't like the way he played defense. The guy's won 3 rings. He's a European legend. He's great. But it's hard for him to guard guys at his position at his age. He's been playing pro forever. So I don't understand. Coach straight for you. You know what I can do. You see him on TV. I can't guard these guys. These guys are freak athletes. I can't guard these guys. So he gets an MRI, and I'm like, Tony, the results come back? He's like, yes. All they found is that my feelings were hurt. I saw him a few years later when I was doing radio. He was playing for the Milwaukee Bucks. And I'm like, hey, Tony, what's going on? How you doing? Hey, yes, your kids, my kids, everyone's fine. Minivan, family, everyone good? Small talk BS? Okay, good, bye. That was how I got caught up with Tony. I had another guy, a seatmate named Efthymios Rencius from Greece, and we hit it off. We're both foreigners. Being Canadian, I feel a little less foreign. And Todd, these guys, some team, they talk bling bling. What they mean by bling bling? I'm from Winnipeg. What do I know about bling bling? I think I know what it is. It's like ice and jewelry and watches, and I think that's what they mean by bling. Okay, yes, I get thanks. And so we're playing the playoffs, and I'm hurt, and he's not playing, and he looks in the stands, and our fans have there's a WHOOZEYERDADDY. And he says, Todd, what is Wahoozy your daddy? And I'm like, it's not Wahoozy your daddy. It's just spelled differently. It actually is, who's your daddy? He's like, yes. What means this? Who's your daddy? I'm like, how do you explain who's your daddy? I'm like, we're their daddy, our opponent. We're putting them in their, Tony, I don't know. He's like, okay, I get, yes, I understand. I'm like, I don't know how you understand it because I don't know how to explain it. That's fine, it's fine. So the next day, he's playing one-on-one against one of our assistant coaches named Mike Woodson. He's bombing threes. He hits the three, goes, who's your daddy, Woody? I am your daddy. He gets it. Rents understands. He came to America. Now he knows what who's your daddy means. He's like, Todd, I think I want to go home. I am nothing on this team. I am, rookie. These guys treat me bad at home. I'm big star. Barcelona, I have pool. My friends get me beer here. I do laundry for these guys. I think I'm going to go home. So I've tried quite unsuccessfully to get other NBA players hooked on pinball. I don't know what it is. I don't know why I got the bug, but not that many of them have gotten into it. But it's probably better that way because a lot of them would probably buy up all the games that were there. One time I thought I was watching Cribs and I thought it was Shaq's place and I thought I saw fishtails down in his rec room. So I'm like, this is awesome. Shaq's got a pinball machine. He's got one of himself. He's got to love pinball. So I see him in a hotel lobby and I thought that's all the ammo I needed. Up until this point, I'd had pretty limited but very positive experiences with Shaquille O'Neal. Saw him in the hotel lobby, approached him, and I thought we'd have a lengthy, bond-forming, unforgettable discussion about our shared love of pinball. We could discuss our intertwined pinball futures together. This is how I thought things were going to go. This is how they really went down. Hey, Shaq. I said that part. I said, hey, Shaq, didn't I see Cribs when you had a Fishtails pinball machine down in your game room? He said, no, I don't. Yeah, it was about that awkward. It was about that quiet. How awkward is when two 7-footers, we have the same career, we just totally ran out of things to say. It was pretty awkward. The crickets came out of nowhere. So I didn't see it playing out that way. I thought he'd say, yeah, I love pinball. I have a game named after me, right? And I'd say, yeah, I know that. It's not my favorite, but, it's kind of cool, but I'm not going to say anything bad because you're bigger than me, which I don't get to say very often. And I thought he'd say, I hear you're pretty good, Maybe you could help me design my next game, Shaq attacks again. We'll make it even better. I'm like, guaranteed it'll be better. That's for sure. And I thought we'd meet up at the Northwest Pinball Show 2011, but I haven't seen him yet. Have you guys seen him yet? It's just Friday. Let's give it some time. He's pretty easy to miss. He's retired now. He's got time. So we'll see. We'll see if he shows up. But meanwhile, back in the lobby that's now magically infested with these crickets, I realized I'd blown my big chance to Shaquille O'Neal. Walked up to my room. I was saddened by the unformed bond that Shaq and I didn't have a chance to grow our pinball relationship. But we were playing the Lakers in the regular season, and a guy named Pepe Sanchez, another foreigner from Argentina, we spent a lot of time on the bench together, and he's like, our big guys are getting mowed down, and Shaq's drawing fouls on them all, and they're coming out of the game. He's like, get ready. Yeah. My Spanish accent isn't very good. Get ready. You're going to get in the game here pretty soon, and I think Shaq's going to hurt you. I'm like, he's not going to hurt me. It's not ultimate fighting. It's basketball. He might dunk on me, but that's nothing he didn't do to Dikembe Mutombo and Tyrone Hill. So what if he dunks on me? I'll do my best. He's like, nah, I think he's going to hurt you. I'm like, no, he's not. Beep, subs, Todd, get in there for Geiger. Fouled out, so I get in the game, rebound comes off. I'm like, great, got Shaq on my back, got all this positioning, all my coaching. I jumped straight up in the air. He jumped higher. He got it first. Inadvertently, he's a class guy, inadvertently came down with an elbow, like right on my neck. Just dropped me to the floor. I got a pinched nerve in my neck. I'm rolling around. He dunks the basketball. He gets fouled from somebody else. Coach is yelling at me. I'm like, what, coach? What did you say? And Pepe's yelling, I told you he'd hurt you. I'm like, Pepe, you shut up. And coach is like, he's like, I told you he'd hurt you. So he hurt me, but he didn't mean to. So recently on a vacation, I was just at a restaurant, and a waiter was like, how tall are you? Pretty tall. I saw you when you went to the bathroom. I said, I'm 6'11 and 13/16. And he's like, man, you're huge. Like, I'm not reminded of that a few times a day. He said, you're so big, man, I bet you could guard Shaq. And I politely told him that he should not make that bet, that I cannot guard him at all, and I wasn't being hypothetical. I know 100% for a fact that I cannot guard Shaq. This has been proven in a public forum, and the evidence is now a matter of public record, ESPN Classic. There's only one former NBA player that I was successful in converting into a pinball fan. His name is Josh Davis, and he's got a wonderful wife named Jess Davis. They live in Denver. So I was at the Rocky Mountain Pinball Show, and they wanted to come see what a pinball show is like. You know, who goes to that? Let's go. They'd had an 8-week-old baby that they brought with them, of course. And so they bring their baby along. We're playing. Great thing about that show, there's always tournaments popping up. We got a quick shooter tournament. We got team tournament coming up. You know, tournaments all the time. So they make an announcement. EM tournament starting in 5 minutes, $5. Come sign up. I'm like, I'm going to go sign up. Josh, do you want me to sign you up? He says yes. I'm like, I don't want to be rude and exclude Jess. I know she's not a big pinball fan. She'd been to my house a few times. Jess, do you want me to sign you up? She's like, no, you'll just waste your money. I'm like, Jess, it's $5. She's like, okay. So I put her in. We start playing. I win. Josh loses. Jess wins. I win. Jess is playing these guys, and, you know, a lot of middle-aged men going, so do you know, she's a good-looking girl. You guys, do you play pinball a lot? She's like, no, I've been to my friend Todd's a few times. I think I've played his games. They're like, good, this will be easy. Then she starts shaking the machine, sliding it around, kicking their butts, and the guys are like, that's not nice. You know, she wasn't making any friends there. Beating these guys. She wins, I win. We end up on a crash course. We lose over semifinals. We're playing for the third place game. And I'm thinking, I got this. You know, she's been to my house a few times, but I got this. You know, she's got the baby. At this point, the baby needs to be held, so we flip a coin. I guess I went first. So we would pass the baby back and forth in between turns. It's your turn. Here, you have the baby. My turn. Okay, here, you have the baby. I think that's the first time in a pinball match that a human baby has been passed back and forth between the opponent. Can you go to the next slide? Oh, you already went there. You're way ahead of me. So that's what we were doing. We were passing that, but I lost badly, and not a smart move on her part. She ran the score up on me on the 5th ball, but I'm holding her baby, so not a good move to run the score up on somebody when I had her precious child in my arms. So she finished that, got some points. She ended up 288th in the world for that tournament at the time, but I'm 160th now, so I like to rub that in. I'm pretty sure I'm number 1 in your hearts. She's not. I used to try and get my wife hooked on pinball, but that hasn't worked out so well. Looking back, there may have been a couple of things I could have done to use better judgment to help facilitate and foster a pinball courtship at a more vulnerable time. There was the time I had games delivered to me at our house on her birthday. She says, she's a truck roll-up, goes, what did you get me that needed to come in a truck? That truck's here for me, right? And I said, no, honey, that truck's for me. She said, it's not making a birthday delivery? I said, it is. It's just 8 months and 6 days early. I was playing a heck of a game on Medieval Madness one time, and games were down in the basement. She poked her head down. She'd sort of flick the lights, and that would indicate she had something to say. But I'm killing it, so I don't want to respond. And she's like, all right. Told her I was in the middle of a big game, and I wasn't able to be distracted. So she said, do you mind trapping the ball so we can, so you can concentrate and just listen to me for a second? I was like, I'm in a time mode. Sorry, I can't do that. I have to keep shooting things. I'm on a time mode. That was the wrong answer, and I know that now. It took me putting the shoe on the other foot just to realize that maybe pinball's not her thing. She loves to quilt. She has never invited me to quilt, but I'm thinking if she did, although I appreciate her talent, creativity, and her beautiful finished products, I just don't have any interest in sitting down and quilting for hours. So I think maybe pinball is like quilting to her. So I sort of drop it. And so now my efforts are focused on turning my little daughter, she's 3.5, and I have a little son. He was in that picture right there. Turn them into pinball heads. And so for my daughter, I was recording all her first pinball milestones, her first mode start, skill shot, made, mode, ramp. Forget her first steps. I mean, she's doing that now, but I want her first wizard mode. I want to be able to document that. So she's pretty independent, little fiery little redhead. And recently on vacation, she's like, Daddy, I need your help so I can do it by myself. And then she's like, I want to do it by myself with you, Daddy. So one time she was like, Daddy, I just have my vitamin. Daddy, you must need very big vitamins because you have a very big head. Thank you, honey. She poked me right here. And she's like, Daddy, are you wearing a diaper too? Just had a little extra padding. I thought that was nice. She has these little bunnies, little metal bunnies. And she's like, Daddy, can you tuck this little bunny under your chin? So I did that. She's like, Daddy, will you tuck my other bunny under your other chin? And I'm like, that is not right. She's so mean. And then last night, I guess it was last night, NBA Finals. I'm trying to be a good dad. I've been gone all day, and then I come home from golfing. I check the score as I'm leaving the golf course. It's like 8-point lead with a few minutes left for Miami. I'm thinking, all right, I won't go home. I won't turn on the game. The game's pretty much over. Miami's going to pull away. I'll just go help with the kids. So we do that, and then my wife says, okay, I'm going to put son to bed. We just put on a video for Carmen. So I put on Disney sing-along song stuck in my head. We start that. I go check my iPhone. It's 90-90 with a minute left. And I'm like, oh, Disney's got to stop. I have to catch the last minute of this game. So I'm like, honey, I know we just started your video, and I know you don't like it when I stop it, but Daddy just needs to watch the game. She's like, so I stop it. I was like, just a minute left. Forget there's a million timeouts and it takes 20 minutes. I'm like, there's only a minute left in the game, honey. And she's like, Daddy, it's basketball. Didn't you play basketball when you were a little boy? And I'm like, yeah, honey, I did. I was a much little boy when I played basketball. So she's very supportive. Can you go to the next picture? So this is a game I picked up on eBay. It's just a little horse racing game. For some reason, I like horse racing themed games. It's called They're Off. And it's okay. She just likes to play it, though. She just drops nickels into the slide, shoves them in there. She's not really interested in the gameplay. She just wants to shove nickels in there over and over, and no gameplay. And I'm just thinking, why would anyone want to do that? Can you go next slide? And I'm thinking that's pretty much what slot machines are. You just keep shoving money in there, and you don't get a whole lot of play out of it. So, at some point, I think my daughter realized that pretty much everything that Dad owns, you put coins into. So she started putting coins in everything that she owns. Can you go to the next one? So she's trying to do that. So she's practically choked Elmo to death on a bunch of occasions. Elmo loved pinball. She had a Yoda doll that suffered the same fate.
Strong you are. The force is strong in you.
Can you go to the next one? So that's my Whirlybird game. I noticed early that some of my friends or some of my friends' wives didn't necessarily love pinball, but then I put that in the basement, and my buddy's wife just got hooked on it. I'm like, hey, if I get games of different eras, maybe I could, more people would have more fun. So my brother's pretty good at that one. Turns out he's a helicopter pilot, has his own rating, so the fact that he has the high score, I think, should be completely thrown out, shouldn't count. But this is another example of why I don't try and fix my own games anymore. My techs were trying to fix the counterweight on the game, and so we had the glass off, and they want me to test it and make sure that they've got it right so that the counterweight was right. So I needed to satisfy my curiosity. So I'm trying to bounce it. I'm trying to make sure that while the glass off, we get this thing right. So I'm like, bounce it. And so I tried and tried. Finally, I did it. I found the optimum meshing of throttle and bounce, and the helicopter shot up to the top of the game and smashed the propeller into a million pieces. I answered my question about the counterweight setting. It wasn't enough. And that led to another question I had to ask myself. What the hell did I do that for? My tech said, you know what, let us take it from here. I turned in my wings like Cougar from Top Gun. But the whole thing had pretty well flawed logic in it. I mean, what I did with a Whirlybird is like somebody taking a crowbar to their headlight of their car and just hitting it, wondering how much it takes to break it. And then it breaks and you go, okay, it took that much. Now why did I do that again, So while he's working on that, Clay's working on another game. So I started playing a baseball pitching bat that's set up with a coin slide. You just got to push it in, and it'll work. So it's always working. I push it in to play it. Push it in, it doesn't do anything. So I'm like, guess it's broken. I'll go sit and watch TV, and then when Clay's done fixing this game, he can figure out what's going on, why my game isn't starting when I push the coin slide in. I don't turn it off. I don't do anything. Next thing you know, Clay's like, what's burning? And I'm like, I don't know. What's burning? Are we cooking or something? He's like, no, the game over there's burning up. So I guess I had pushed the coin slide in. It tried to start the motor, and the motor got stuck, and it just was doing that and ended up frying the motor. And I guess, that's like pulling a pin on a grenade going, nothing. Nothing happened. It's just, I shouldn't work on my own games, So we all know how addicting this hobby can be. I went through a stage where I just bought a lot of stuff. Recently woke up, or I woke up going, I had a dream about a game, and I'm like, in my dream, like, new game, it's available, gotta get it, so cool. Wake up in the morning going, I gotta get that game. What was that game again? And then I realized it was a game that didn't even exist. In my head, it's like Bandicoot Dive Bomber or something. It's like, I don't know what that is, but I'm thinking like it's this game I have to get. So I wake up going, how do I get this game? I'm thinking that game's rare, really rare. One, it occurred once in one of my dreams. That's not a common game. And so I'm thinking maybe we need to do like an Inception thing where we go in, grab that, implant it in one of these pinball designers' brains, and maybe they can make this game. So if any of you guys see a Bandicoot Dive Bomber somewhere, I need to have it because I just had that urge waking up, like, gotta have this game. So, if anyone sees one, let me know. Before my talk, my wife called to wish me luck, and she put my daughter on the phone, 3.5-year-old Carmen, and said, like, Carmen, tell Daddy good luck. And so Carmen gets to the phone and goes, good night, Daddy. So I was going to say good night to you guys. That's how I was going to finish, but there's still a little bit of multimedia to go through and should be some time for some questions. So that's the end of this part of my talk. So maybe we'll just quickly go through some of these slides and then we'll do some video. Can you click through a few more? Oh, you got it? Okay. Audio visual specialist. That's what Mike Lorraine is. Okay, so this is my upstairs of the media room for some of the old school stuff. We got a Keeney aerator, and we got basketball champ, and a modern Bolorama that's fun, and a goalie, and a Batascore, and a whirly bird. Let's go next one. That's a pretty cool horse racing game that I'm still having some issues with, but that's a little hidden coin slot, I guess, in a time when maybe it shouldn't have been obvious that it was a payout game. You had to pull out that little slide, so that's kind of cool. I got to get that thing working again. Let's go next one. Basketball champ. I like basketball games, not just because they're basketball games. It's got to be fun, or there'd be a whole lot of basketball games that I'd have just for that reason. So I don't get them just because that's what I did. I get them if they're fun, and that's just a really beautiful game. Can you go again? A horse racing game. It's kind of a long story. This thing came up on eBay, and it said one of a kind. I felt like I had to have it, and I made a bid on eBay. And it turned out to be, and this is before I knew about eSnipe, so I bid a lot because I really wanted it, because I watched it all week. And it happened like the end, I was having a party and had a bunch of friends over, and I'm waiting all week, looking at it. I want it. I put this number in maybe 45 seconds before, and it comes back like, for a bid like this, you got to back it up with a credit card. I'm like, I don't have time for a credit card. So I try and go below that threshold. I ended up going at the threshold, not under it. Auction ended. I didn't win it. I was very mad, maybe the maddest I've ever been in my life. I went to my room. I laid face down on my bed, and my buddy's like, he must be joking. I've never seen him that mad. He came to my room and opened up my door, and I'm just laying face down on my bed. And he's like, I think we should go home now. Todd's really mad. So I emailed the guy and said, hey, I lost out on the game. I saw what it went for. I was willing to pay more than that. Would you take this much for the game? No response. I'm like, this guy's playing hardball. All right, buddy, I was willing to pay more than my last offer. I'll pay you this for the game. He gets back to me and goes, I would have taken your first offer, but I was driving down to California to get the game. So yes, I accept your second offer because I didn't have time to get your first one. So I ended up buying it. Great game. It's, again, I think I have a video if we have time to get to it. So let's go to the next one. Shuffleboard. I like shuffleboard, but I didn't want it to take up 18 feet of pinball wall, so I thought if I got a rebound shuffler, that would be fun and just take up the spot of 1.5. Let's go next one. That's part of the basement with some pins and some weird stuff and a weird, creepy guy in the basement that everyone feels like there's a presence and someone there. Let's go next one. That's the guest bedroom, in case you jones for pinball, wake up in the middle of the night. Let's go next one. That's my old car. Let's go next one. Magic Baseball is a pretty cool game. I saw it on eBay and I read the description. It was like the ball floats, and I could picture remember a science experiment where a ball would float. I'm like, that game's probably pretty cool. So ended up buying it, and it's a lot of fun. The ball floats, and you have to try and hit home runs while the floating ball. It's kind of neat. It's broken, but it's cool. Next one. More horse racing. That's another basketball game that's kind of fun. This is a Genco number roll game that was smoking the other day, but that's fun too. Next one. Me and Ron Chan and my baby son. Next one. Pretty cool game, 1941. Not Air Raider. Should say on it. Ace Bomber. Anyway, it's a pretty cool game. It's kind of rare. Pitch and bats are kind of fun. Next one. There's a couple bowling games. Midget skee ball is a lot of fun. Next one. Not nuts about old games, but I like the games with some animation in the back glass. So those ones have a couple cars that race around, so they're kind of fun. Next one. This is something I saw on eBay. I thought it was kind of fun. I ended up bringing it upstairs for a poker night I had. It's basically just a quick draw. You just hit the buzzer and try and outdraw your opponent. So it's really simple and ends up being a lot of fun. Next one. Bubble hockey. I'm Canadian. You got to have it. I have it set to the Canadian national anthem instead of the U.S. one. Moto polo on the right. It's a lot of fun too for a Sega game from the 70s, and the boxing game is fun. It's good for my friends to work out their marital problems over a game of boxing. Let's go next one. Spaceflight, another neat game from 1969. I had to get 4 of them to get one that works. They're typically problematic, and I think it's still having problems. But that's kind of a neat game with a neat effect. Next. That's just the main game room with lots of fun stuff. Let's go next one. That's where the big stuff goes, and big ball bowler and skee ball. And let's go next one. Just a nice golf game. I like things that are interactive. Bowling a skee ball, shooting a bear with a gun, bowling, putting game, skee ball, shuffle puck. So I like things where you're doing something. Next one. Yeah, next one. I like things that are multiplayer, so I found a skee ball machine that you could have 4 players playing. So to me, this is a 2-player skee ball machine. So I like things that it just makes it more fun when you have multiplayer. Let's go next one. Next one. Because that's me playing, and that's not a cocktail, or that's not a cabaret. That's a real normal size. I can't even see the screen. So let's go next one. That's how I have to play if I want to see the screen. It's very height biased. Let's go next one. So that's my Daytonas. I had one custom made, and I ended up ordering it from the guys. My game room wasn't done yet. I'm like, I want 4. Any way you can add some room? So he's like, yeah, we'll give you 10 inches. We'll just cut it, make it longer. It'll be great. And I said, great. And I said, I don't need it right away. So I called a few months later, say, hey, is everything good? Yeah, we're all done with the restoration. It's all completed. And I said, so they're good? Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I'd paid him in full for them. He's like, oh, yeah, they're working great. Got them on location. And I'm like, okay, good. I'm glad they're working and people are playing them, but didn't I just pay you for those? I didn't get a cut of that, but I was like, I guess they're out there working. That's a good sign. Next one. So that's my custom seat. No one else can reach the pedals except me. That's me in a non-custom seat, and I still love playing that game. And then next one. That's me customized, just laid back. Okay, next one. Is that it? Okay, good. Let's go to some videos. I got some videos of those playing. Mike, can we play the Cribs one first? So this has only had limited release. This was film crew in Philadelphia just wanted to talk pinball, and so they came with this is like a fake knockoff MTV Cribs, just Philadelphia Sixer style. So I just sort of invite the cameraman in. This was our Philadelphia home that we no longer have.
Hey everybody, how's it going? Todd MacCulloch here, color radio analyst for the Philadelphia 76ers. Glad you could join me here today. We're going to take a little tour of my house. And hope you enjoy it. Got a few rooms I think you'll enjoy. Well, when you're in the kitchen, you always got to take a look and see what's in the fridge. Chicken noodle soup, ham, Mike's Hard, a few beers, some soda, and some eggs. Really not all that exciting. That mayo's probably been there for a while, so you might not want to have a sandwich. Welcome to my living room, or the formal room. We don't spend a whole lot of time in here. It's a nice, warm, friendly room, but just doesn't get a whole lot of use, so we'll keep it moving. I've seen a good portion of my house so far, and most people have a living room, and everybody's got a fridge, so far, kind of your typical home. Let me take you downstairs and show you that this room is a little bit different. Welcome to Todd's happy place. If the arcades are closing in public, then you got to bring it home. This is originally where it started. I had a few pinball machines, but anybody in this hobby knows that it doesn't stay a few pinball machines for long. They start to multiply. No. Uh-oh. Well, I blew it again. Thanks a lot. I think I'm the 4th ranked Canadian right now. No. If you were just a full-time pinball player and you won every tournament throughout a year, you would still be below the poverty line. Oh my goodness. In order to, and that happens from time to time. My breaker just went, and if you just give me a second, I can show you the back room, and I flip the breaker. So we'll be up and running here in a few seconds. It's always my worst worry that I'm having a pinball get-together, and even after I do that, nothing turns back on. But I think we might be back in luck. I've tried very hard to get Kyle Korver into pinball, and I just can't seem to do it. I even loaned him a machine for some time, and he's got a nice big basement with a myriad of things. I mean, I started out with a pool table too, and a TV and that kind of stuff, and the bug kind of caught me. But he said, do you mind taking the pinball machine away? I want to put a dartboard in. And he could have put a dartboard anywhere. But I took the hint, picked up the machine, so I think he's pretty much a lost cause. I just got a super jackpot. That's better than a jackpot. It's like a jackpot, but super duper. Well, thanks for coming to check out my house and my game room. You're all out of quarters, so I don't care where you go upstairs, but you can't stay down here. So, see you later. Arcade's closing. See ya. Get out. Adios. Peace.
You're not supposed to use the gun as a goalie. It really makes me mad when people do. I'll be in scoring position, boom, they bat the puck away with the gun. You can't do that. See, she kept doing it. I couldn't win. See, I had to sneak one past the gun. I'm playing against two people. So this is just a sweep of that lower level. You saw the stills. That's a fun helicopter game. Sega helicopter, you got to land that thing on the lit city, which is kind of cool. And then on the left is a Brunswick block-a-shot, which is pretty fun. Doesn't look like much, but ends up being fun. It's mechanical. Ringers, really addictive. Great Williams game. This is a fun basketball game. There's a bunch of balls, so there's always something to shoot. Some of those basketball games, it's just one ball back and forth. This one, there's always something to shoot. That Ace Bomber is really, it was a beautiful restoration. Stunt Car's got problems. That's a cool pitch and bat baseball that uses a light. It's kind of light-o-matic. We all know the pinball's a great game because there's a ball and it's tactile and you can hit it. And if I had one pitch and bat, it wouldn't be that one, but it's kind of cool to have the ball represented by a light. I like the mannequin games. I didn't know what mannequin games were, but I read about it on the web, and I thought, wow, that's pretty cool to have a little guy doing something, bowling or playing skee-ball or basketball. So I tried to get some of those mannequin games. And the bubble hockey, the modern Czechs hockey, I realized growing up that I loved that game, and it's basically just a glorified mannequin game. You got these little people doing something. So I found those games really kind of cool. There's that Magic Baseball game. Ambush is a pretty fun shooting game. And this Road Runner is actually a pretty cool mechanical game. It's like a little bit of electromechanical pole position. Untouchables is kind of a neat game as well. Moto Champ has got mechanical motorcycles. That's probably a full lap of that room. So that's a quick draw dude. The distance is not very good. The light's not all that strong, but when he says draw, you of course got to shoot him in the chest with your light gun before he does. So that's another thing that's, it's got a real presence in the game room and looks kind of cool. He probably didn't have a chance at that close. So this is what it looks like if I'm playing a normal video game. That's the amount of the screen you can see.
Okay, well, I'm standing here in front of a Pac-Man Galaga machine, and basically this is the perspective of what I see when I step up to a traditional arcade cabinet. There's not much of the screen visible because of my height, so I have to make changes. So I have to either sit down or squat down so I can see the screen. So a lot of us big video gamers have bad backs because these games weren't designed for us to have the shield. So this is what you'd normally see if you walked up to a game, and that's why I'm so bad at Pac-Man. I can't really see the screen. So I gotta crouch down, and then I can play. So that's just one of the hazards of being this tall, trying to play video games.
That's that horse racing game. I wanted it to be fun. I thought it would be fun, and when I first brought it home, I was in the corner talking to my techs, and I heard my friends going, "Oh, number 4, go number 4, come on!" They're just yelling. I'm like, that's what I was hoping would happen. I wanted people to yell at this game. So my daughter likes to pick the different colored horses, and so it's been a lot of fun. It's had some problems, but there's some local guys, Mike Lorraine included, nice group of guys. Byron, who's been making the calls, every time he'd come over for years, is that horse racing game working? No, it's not. Okay, well, I'm getting some guys together, and we're going to come over and fix it because I want to play it. So I really appreciate it. So nice group of local guys came over to help me get that running. This is the main room. So there's some good varieties. A gun game there. There's a couple baseball games. That's a fifth inning shuffle. This is a shuffle target game. So I'm not nuts about the puck bowlers, but I do like the puck games that have different themes. That skee-ball game on the left is kind of cool. You can earn an extra ball. If you score a 50 point in any of your 3 shots, you get an extra ball. I thought that was kind of neat. Shoot the Bear's fun. There's a couple of vids. That Panic Park is classic. The Daytonas are to me, one of the best driving games, and it's fun to have multiple people playing. The motorcycle games are a hit with the kids. Every party we have, the kids can't get off those things. Played this soccer game on a cruise with my buddy and just crushed them, and so I had to bring one home so I could crush them some more. We've had some good air hockey battles. Bally, that motorcycle game is pretty cool for electromechanical. This Magical Truck Adventure is a fun game as well. So there's some new, there's some old. That's it for videos? Good. Then does anybody have any questions for me? We got a couple minutes left, and there's nobody coming in after me. So anybody have anything they want to know, basketball related, game related? Yes. Hey, what's up, Mr. Leonard? How was poker night, by the way? I hope so too. Go ahead. Just one. There's a huge group here, and no. Okay, go ahead. I'm just kidding.
What's your all-time favorite desert island game?
It's a good question. I think for me, I've been asked this before. I think Whitewater probably be it. You know, Medieval Madness, it'd be a toss-up, but I'd probably go with Whitewater because I think a lot of people would say Medieval. So to be original, I'll go Whitewater. Love Dennis Nordman's games. Just grew up loving the game and enjoyed it, even in a terrible condition that it was in where I played it. All the lights were burned out. I knew that had to light the locks, and I would just go for multi-balls. The whole thing about advancing the raft, all of those yellow lights were all burnt out, so it wasn't until I bought one. I was like, what do those yellow lights mean? Oh, you can advance the raft? This game's even better. And then I thought I had gotten to the end of it because I had gotten to Wet Willie's, and someone said, have you gotten the Vacation Jackpot? I'm like, of course what's that? And so I realized there's so much to that game and the Clash of the Rivers. So that game took me forever. Rick finished it a long time before me. It took me years and years, and so I absolutely love that game. So if I had to take one, a desert island with electricity or a generator, that would probably be my game. So what's part two?
Who are you picking in the finals?
I'll pick Dallas. You know, if Miami had won last night, they're up 2-0, I'd probably go. No, I can never root for them. I just anyway, Dallas. Jay Kidd was a teammate of mine. I loved him as a teammate, and he was a phenomenal. He was very supportive as a teammate for me. And during one of the preseason games, I was playing some of the best basketball in my life. I think I'd signed a nice contract. I didn't have to worry about whether I was going to make a team. I could just go out and play. And so I was playing very well for me. And in the preseason, and someone asked, I had a great game, and we beat Washington. And someone asked Jason, like, what do you think of your big man? He's like, he's the best center I've ever played with. And one of the reporters said that. Jason said that. I'm like, Jason was lying, or Jason hasn't played with anybody if Jason thinks I'm the best center he's ever played with. So it was just a really nice compliment, and we went around the room when we were struggling. He was like, you know, you got to do this and this, and, you know, Todd, you just got to believe in yourself. You're a good player. I know you are. You just got to play the way you are. So I root for him. I want him to win a championship. He's just a great teammate. And then I've had a chance to meet Dirk Nowitzki once or twice. He's just a class act, awesome guy. So I'm rooting for those guys. And, you know, I do like some of the Heat players as well, but the press conference bothered me a little bit. The announcement, the decision. I'm gonna take my talents to South Beach. Anyway, I'm going Dallas. Yep. Nope. I'm not going to be Kaylee. Kaylee is a world champion and a great player, and someone that's really fun to be friends with, and he's very helpful with strategy. He's an amazing player. He also knows the games, but he's willing to share that knowledge. And so even if we'll be playing in the same group, he's more than willing to tell me what to do, knowing that he's going to be able to do what to do better than I can. So we have a lot of fun, and he's made me a better player. But I'm really, you know, happy that he was able to win, because he's, to me, is a world champion, and now he's got the credentials for it. So yes.
What are the next one or two machines that you want to get?
The next one or two machines that I'm going to get. That's a really good question. Pinball. Okay, well, I was maybe NBA. That's a good question. I don't know. I think I would probably get a couple of the games that I sort of sold. You saw my Philadelphia game room, and when we sold that house, I had a full game room. In Seattle, there were really no open spots in the house, so I had all those pins in the basement, didn't want to get rid of any of them, so I was sort of compromised with my wife to, you know, sell some and then put some in the bedroom, and so we made some compromise. So I would probably try and get back some of the games I sold. Star Trek, sorry, I shouldn't have sold it. I regret it. Let's see, Creature from the Black Lagoon, I wish I had back. T2 is a lot of fun. All of those games, I sold about 10 games, and more than any EM games that I've sold. I feel like the pinball machines, you know, were a part of me, and it's been, you know, part of it is trying to figure out do I want to sell some of the EM stuff to make room for those pins, or do I want to keep the themed rooms sort of the way they are? This is sort of old school, this is new school, this is where this stuff is. And it sort of came down to, if I wanted to get those other games, they're sort of still out there. And some of the old EM stuff that's harder to track down, maybe I'll keep that stuff for now because I wouldn't be able to replace them. So I think Creature from the Black Lagoon I wish I had back, and Star Trek, and some of those games that I had to part with. So I would try and rebuild my collection if I had anywhere to put them. But good question, though. Yes?
How much do you wind up paying for that horse racing game?
I ended up paying, I'm embarrassed to say, about $15,000 for that bad boy. It was probably worth $8,000 maybe. So I think I had entered 15 into there, or 15 plus. It was at the time. It was working at the time. And so I came back, and I think I had offered him, I think he got it for $8,000, and I think I had offered him $10,000, and then I didn't heard back, so then I bumped it up to $15,000, and he said, absolutely. He went and bought another one with that money and was able to get a car or something with the rest of it. So I was a little bit anxious at that time to have it. I thought it was advertised as one of a kind. I had a lot of fun with it. I had to have it because I thought it was the only one. Turns out it's not plentiful, but there's a handful of them out there. It broke, and I didn't know at the time. I was not connected with people that knew how to fix them, and I don't know how to fix them. So there's a really, somebody down in California that was willing to take a look at it, and so I sent it down to him, and he was nice enough to fix it. So it was great to have it back in the collection. And then when it broke again, I ended up sending it back down to him. And anyway, I've had to send it out a couple times, and now it's working, and got some local friends that are willing to take a look at it instead of me shipping it to California. So it's been a great game when it works. Yeah.
So that means your journey to finding the jackpot. How does it feel to be the jackpot?
To be the jackpot?
Yeah. So this guy was like, oh, $15,000 jackpot.
He doesn't feel so good now, knowing that he was able to go and buy one for less than that. But yeah, I went through a time when I just sort of had to have games, and I was willing to pay what it took to get them. And I'm not. It's not the situation anymore. So I'm a little more discerning and knowing what things are worth. So I don't. I'm in a different place now. Yeah.
From a tournament player's perspective, what do you think of the tournament?
I've only had a chance to play it once or twice, or just once. But so far I really like it. I was really excited to know that there'd be one at the show, and I wanted to play it. And I'm excited to play it more. It sounds like Dorkies is going to have one when the launch party is over, which is awesome. It's a great place. If you guys haven't been to Dorkies in Tacoma, you got to go check it out. Great grilled cheese sandwiches, and take really good care of you down there. So I think the game is a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to being able to play it more, for sure.
When I'm winning, you can come over, Todd.
Okay. Sounds good. I appreciate that. I will take that into consideration. I'd like to thank everyone for coming. Thank you for being here on a Friday night, and I'll see you around the rest of the show. Thanks a lot.